Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I wanted to make an announcement with a video of myself so you can see my face and you can't see too much of my messy apartment right now. But I've been super busy with my two summer classes and lots of things in my life. So please be patient. I'm gonna, get to some grading, and but it is, it's just taken me a lot longer because I've got lots of things going on. Yeah, just had a bunch of other stuff to do. In addition to learning, like fixing all the technical aspects of Canvas, which we weren't taught, and so figuring all of that out on my own mostly, and still adding things to our class modules, our weeks. So you'll probably have noticed, right, that some things have been added on, but I'll be doing that, mostly to give you more information. I don't really want to add more work on quizzes, discussions at this point. Week 6 is still undeveloped, but I think, for that week, I'm largely, it's going to be fairly, easy in that I want you to be working on your research essay the last couple of weeks, so I don't want to give you too much other busy work. But and you'll see, on here, things I've added on. So my first plea is, yeah, be patient with me. Realize that I'm aware that you guys have lots of stuff up. So don't, stress too much about due dates. I will give you time. There is a limit to that, of course, because at the end of the class, I don't have long to get grades in. So you'll have to get in stuff pretty quick at that point. But, yeah, don't stress too much. Try to get everything done. And realize, that I understand it's a tough situation this summer, and it's tough to have a new instructor who's figuring things out. And frankly, hasn't developed the course as much as I want to. So I'm still working on it, and this course, will change as I get more experience teaching and develop it more. So that's the first thing. So one suggestion, I did send out a link to some students who are having a tough time finding where to find their peer reviews. And one student recommended that if you just go to grades, you'll see your peer reviews there. Okay, so that's a suggestion. Also realize if you turn your peer review in late, past the due date, it's not going to automatically assign you peer reviews. I have to go on and assign you peer reviews. So it's much easier if you turn it in by the due date, at least for peer reviews. And, ideally with a peer review, you have a complete draft. But even if you don't have a complete draft, you can turn it in and get some feedback on what you have so far. And that way, when you're finishing the essay, you'll at least have some feedback and some ideas for how to do things properly. Okay, so just be aware. I do go on every day and check, but sometimes, if you're submitting at 1 a.m, it may take me a while to get to that and assign you peer reviews. So just be aware of that. All right, so if we look ahead on the modules now, you guys have done a lot. You're working right on finishing up the second week with the second analysis essay. One thing about this analysis essay, okay, we did that first summary essay. Nothing else will be summary essay. Everything else is you making an argument, okay, all the way to our research essay. It's your argument. So do not spend the essay telling me what Michael Pollan thinks in this case. Instead, right, tell me what you think about Pollan's argument. Make an argument. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to disagree with everything. Make your own argument. And that means, right, your thesis statement and your topic sentences should be your opinion. They should be your claim and your assertion. Okay? So make sure you aren't starting those sentences with, oh, Pollan says this, because, again, that makes it sound like a summary. This isn't a summary. This is your argument. You'll still use Pollan to back up your points or to argue with. If you're going to use an outside source, okay, in addition to Pollan, and again, with this essay, I do explain kind of how to set it up. Remember in your introduction, right, introduce Pollan's text and Pollan briefly. You don't need to give a lot of background about Michael Pollan. Okay. Then give a very brief summary of the book. Then talk about the topic, right, that you're focusing on, and perhaps introduce some of your topics. So you don't have to like give us a list. That's, not very interesting, but, introduce, some background or some information that'll, lead us into your topic, and then your thesis statement. Okay, that's your introduction for this essay. What are you seeing right in this section, right, that shows that theme of the logic of nature versus the logic of industry? Okay. So hopefully, yeah, you're going to be submitting some peer reviews tonight. So you'll see, also in this essay, make sure if you are using an outside source, and I am, of course, right, this is a research class, so we want you to start using sources. For this essay, though, I want your focus to remain on Pollan's text, on the industrial corn section. If you're going to use an outside source, it should be supplemental. Don't spend as much time talking about it as Pollan. Don't spend more time talking about that outside source than Pollan. Focus on Pollan. Use the outside source for a quote or two. Okay, some pieces of information, maybe to complement what you're showing about Pollan, maybe to disagree with what you're showing about Pollan. That's up to you. But don't focus on the outside source, focus on Pollan, okay? Do make sure at the end of this week, I think I've basically removed like all the hard deadlines. I'm not close. I don't think I have anything locked at this point, so you'll be able to access stuff even if you've missed the deadline. But there is a student feedback, how is the class student feedback quiz, but it's just student feedback. So yeah, that would be great if you could give me some feedback about the class right now, what things are working for you, what things are not, what else you'd like to see added. I am curious if, some of you want like live lectures or at least big, Zoom, group discussions so you can ask me more questions. Because that certainly could be a possibility, and it might be, a nice way to convey the information. I just didn't want to, overwhelm you, and also I don't want to make them requirements because it's not fair to everyone. Okay, so try to do that. How is the class student feedback for me? You'll notice week 3 module, which is open now, right, that we're starting the library workshops. I integrated these into, right, these next few weeks. So you'll need to go through these also. Please, spend some time because this is a research class. You want to spend some time on the library workshops, take the quizzes. Yeah, well, yeah, they're worth a few points, and we'll see how those incorporate into this. I'm still working on this, so hopefully it works for you, okay? But let me know if you're having any problems or you need, you have questions, you need some help, let me know. What else? The other thing, since week 3 is open, I have added some things to this module since, we started. So there's a page on paragraphing that takes you to several different sources on how to make a paragraph. Definitely look at that. And you could look at that now for this analysis essay. That's why I opened, the week up, and you can do it before the essays due. You can look at introductions and conclusions. Okay, so that's just additional, writing information, and there's some good resources there. I've also added additional resources to the end of the week 3, end of the week 3 module. Let's see if this works. There it goes. And these are all food resources, not writing resources at this point. I hope you realize that, again, if you need, if you have questions about rhetoric, about composition and writing, there is the Purdue OWL. But also, right, the Skyline College Rhetoric, which I've already linked to a few times, right, on the pages. So if you see that, you can go to that rhetoric and go to the first page, and there's a table of contents telling you, where everything is, and there's lots of information in that. So please, use that. Okay. But for this week's additional resources, I wanted to point out that I put a movie on here from YouTube. Says it's for educational purposes, and again, I'm showing it for a class, so I don't think we'll get in trouble. But this is a movie called Food Inc. It's co-produced by Eric Schlosser, who wrote Fast Food Nation, and I have Fast Food Nation as an additional resource, earlier in the modules. And it's narrated by Eric Schlosser and Michael Pollan. So it covers a lot of topics from both their books, some additional topics, but it's going to actually show you, what industrial and pastoral animal farming look like. They're vastly different, and you'll see it's a little ugly in industrial farming. I mean, farming in general can be. Um, there's still in pastoral animal farming, there's still castration, there's still animals that have to be killed. I mean, but watch it. It is interesting because certainly the animals seem like they are having a much better, happier life. So we've got that documentary. I'm also recommending, there's a few episodes of Chef's Table where these chefs specifically focus on food sustainability. They're really all good episodes. There's lots of good episodes of Chef's Table I would highly recommend, but these are good because these chefs are all focused on sustainability and kind of whole food. So if you can't, this is again available through Netflix. So you need a Netflix subscription, but they're excellent episodes. It's a really good show. But these are really nice. These chefs are all doing and have been doing for a long time some spectacular work on sustainability in their restaurants. Okay. Last thing. I think the last thing now. Remember, some basics. When you are quoting from a text, make sure, unless it's a web page with no page numbers, you want to make sure you cite page numbers at the end of that quotation. You also want to make sure there's an author's name attached to that quotation. That can come in the introductory phrase that leads into the quotation, or it can come in the in-text citation, that parenthetical citation. So it can be last name of the author, space, and page number. Okay? You just need a number because in MLA we know that number is always a page number. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention is that for titles, okay, titles of works, longer works are the titles are italicized. So you'll notice here on this page, the show Chef's Table is in italics because it's the whole big show. The book Fast Food Nation, is a book. So it's in italics, the title. Food Inc. as a documentary is a full-length documentary, so it is in italics. If it is a chapter of a book, a newspaper story, a song, a poem, an episode of a TV show, if it's a shorter work, we use quotation marks to indicate that, okay, the title. So you'll see the seasons of Chef's Table, or the episodes of Chef's Table are titled by the chef's name. So you'll see, the chef's name, and there'll be quotation marks around it. That is why, okay? So make sure you're aware of that. So if you specifically name industrial corn, the industrial corn section, you're going to put quotation marks around industrial corn, okay? The name of the book will get italics, okay? So make sure, you're clear on that. It's pretty easy, to do, but that's the rule, okay? Yeah. I think that's it for now. Let me know what you think, what you want, okay, give me some feedback. Certainly feel free to send me some questions. Like I said, be patient with me. I'll be patient with you as I try to catch up on grading and, everything, okay? So thanks so much, y'all. I hope it's going well. I hope your lives are as good as they can be right now. Stay happy, stay healthy. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.